Hey guys, Nick here and welcome back to GamerJoob, and welcome back to our What Needs to Be in a Little Nightmares 3 Part 3. So in the last video we talked about the island and the lighthouse, and now in this video we're going to go into what's in the lighthouse and what that mystery is. So with this kind of video, if anything doesn't really match up, like the lore of Little Nightmares or anything's not really canon, these are pretty much my ideas and what I want to see, so take it with a grain of salt if there's things that you see that don't really match up. And also I do want to address that I am aware that Tarsier Studios isn't really doing anything else with the Little Nightmares franchise, but Bandai Namco still has the rights to that property and they might make some stuff going forward. But also before we get started guys, if you could please consider leaving a like, commenting and subscribing as it helps out a lot and it's greatly appreciated. Alrighty, let's get into what needs to be in a Little Nightmares 3 Part 3. So in the last video I talked about the island, a mysterious place where Six would find herself after she escapes the moor with the ferryman. Whilst on the island, she encounters the lost children, the tunneler, and the ferryman himself. In the middle of the island lies a mysterious looking lighthouse. Six has been adventuring through the dangers of this island to finally reach this lighthouse to uncover the mystery inside. We start off where we left off in the last video, at the ferryman's cabin. After Six leaves the ferryman's cabin, we come across the next area of the game, the cliffs. This cliff area is a harsh and unforgiving environment with sharp rocky edges, narrow pathways, and deadly drop-offs that go all the way down. Six would have to scale across these small and dangerous cliff sides whilst also having to make leaps to other ledges. She could also use branches to climb and swing across, and push and pull small boulders to create new paths and ledges for her to climb as well. While Six is scaling this rocky cliff face, she grabs the attention of the game's next antagonist, the Raven. The Raven is a slender bird-like character who is covered in dark black feathers and has razor-sharp talons and has the ability to fly. So while this really wouldn't be flying in the traditional sense, it would be more like warping in and out like the lady does in the moor in the final battle in the Little Nightmares 1. But despite its feather-covered slender body, it wouldn't have the head of a raven. Instead, it would have an uncanny human face and glowing red eyes that could spot intruders from far away. The Raven would be the protector of the lighthouse, ensuring that no intruders would ever get close enough to the mysterious lighthouse in the centre of the island. The Raven would spot Six in her little yellow raincoat as she scales the cliff sides and swoops in for an attack. As Six continues to climb her way up to the lighthouse, out of nowhere a large set of talons swoop in and try to grab her. Six narrowly escapes this attack and tries to run away whilst the Raven swoops down and tries to pick her up with the sharp deadly talons. In this gameplay segment, Six would have to quickly run and jump to each ledge whilst trying to dodge these deadly attacks. The Raven would let out loud terrifying shrieks as it swoops down. After dodging these quick and frightening attacks, Six finally reaches the top of the cliff. The lighthouse is finally within her reach, but in her path stands the Raven. The Raven stares at Six with its dark, hollow eyes. Six makes a run for the entrance of the lighthouse as the Raven strikes. At the very last second, Six ducks as one of the sharp talons rips off the hood of Six's yellow raincoat. Six enters the lighthouse and quickly closes the door behind her as she hears the Raven clawing at the door to get inside. We now come to the last location of Little Nightmares 3, the lighthouse. As Six walks up the stairs, she comes to a large room. Scattered throughout this room are petrified stone bodies. Six realises exactly what this kind of room is as she's walked into it. As she quickly dives to hide behind a pillar, a flash of light appears. It's the same magical eye that appeared on the moor, the exact same one that turned all those children to stone. This eye was yet another trial to stop intruders from entering the top of the lighthouse. In this gameplay segment, it would be pretty much like the first Little Nightmares where Six would have to make her way from across the room without getting spotted by the eye. Six would have to try and avoid the light by hiding behind pillars and even some of the petrified bodies. Once you make it through this room, we come to the upper section of the lighthouse. But something seems odd. It's cold, and the floor seems soft and wet. As you adventure further, we meet the antagonist of the lighthouse, the Eye. The Eye is a grotesque creature covered in eyeballs, much like the creature we see in the ending of Little Nightmares 2. Its eye-covered tentacles are spread out all over the lighthouse, and it seems that every square inch of the interior has been enveloped by this creature. You notice at the centre of this mass of eyes and flesh lies a shadowy figure. That shadowy figure is none other than the Thin Man himself. Six realises that this is her final chance to break the loop. Just as Six changed her destiny and left the mall instead of becoming the new lady, she then realizes that she can change Mono's destiny and bring him back from the monster he's become. Just as he did for her all that time ago, she can also do him the favor and bring him back from his monstrous state. In this segment, Six takes on the Thin Man in a series of platforming based puzzles, as Six climbs a series of eyes and flesh to reach the Thin Man's hat and to destroy it. Just as the Raven removes Six's hood, removing and destroying the Thin Man's hat would return him back to Mono, just like Mono destroyed the music box and returned Six back to her normal state. At the end of this battle, Six finally reaches the Thin Man's hat and takes it off his head and uses it as a little parachute to glide down back to the floor. As the Thin Man tries to reach for her, she pulls a loose thread on the hat and it rips a big seam. When she does this, a bright beam of light bursts from the seam and the Thin Man recoils in pain as Six finishes the job and rips the hat in half. A giant flash of light strikes the Thin Man as he transforms back into Mono. Six goes to help Mono up from the ground, and then Mono and Six turn around to the giant eye looming in the middle of the grotesque creature. Six reaches out her hand and uses what little strength she has to drain the life force from this horrific creature. It becomes clear to the player why she's neglected to use her power against all the earlier foes in the game. She's been saving her power to kill the giant beast that has been the cause of everything. The reason Mono became the Thin Man, the reason why they're stuck in a loop, the reason for this little nightmare. As Six uses all her power to finish off the beast, its giant eye rolls back as it dies a slow and painful death. The tentacles and the eyes start to close and drop from the ceiling, revealing a small ladder that leads to the very top of the lighthouse. When they reach the top, they see a large spotlight with the eye insignia in the center. Mono and Six can see everything from up here, including the mall. The beam of light seems to be pointed at the mall. Mono grabs a small firefighting axe from the wall and smashes the floodlight. As soon as he's done this, the whole lighthouse starts to collapse. Mono and Six desperately try to make their way down to the bottom of the lighthouse. As they frantically navigate their way down back through the lighthouse, dodging all the debris, they finally find themselves at the shoreline at the bottom of the cliffs. As they approach the shore, the Raven lands in front of them and lets out a horrible shriek. As it goes for a final attack, it's then crushed by the shattered floodlight that has fallen from above. Mono and Six then use a piece of wood as a raft as they set out on the ocean. As they stand in their raft and look out to the distance, they hold each other's hand as they stare at where the moor used to be. They realise that the moor was no more. Alrighty guys, that's all we have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider leaving a like, commenting and subscribing. Now, this was the ending of Little Nightmares 3 and what I'd like to see in it, and I'd like to hear your comments as well on what you'd like to see from Little Nightmares 3. So leave all your theories, what you'd like to see, and how you think it should end in the comments section below, and we'll talk about it down there. But anyway guys, until the next video, I'll catch you later, bye.